Hey, welcome back to Chasing Dreams, Homestead Dreamers. So this is one of those videos that's going to be a little bit controversial. Some of you may say I have my tinfoil hat on in this video, and I'm perfectly okay with that, y'all. But it's been on my mind, it's been on my heart, and I'm going to share it with you. So the USDA is in talks of imposing another poultry ban. And they say it's because of AI. We've all seen all the stories about the chicken feed issues, just all kinds of craziness going on. If you go down that rabbit hole, you know, the chicken feed by Tractor Supply is owned from Purina, and Purina is part of the egg production facilities and blah, blah, blah. You all know it by now. And if you don't know it, do your homework. Get in there and dig. Follow the money trail. The money never lies. Sometimes they're crafty and they'll hide it here, there, and everywhere. But if you're a good sleuth, you'll be able to find it. So first we got chickens not really laying worth a darn. And let's be honest, chickens do have a very natural cycle. In the wintertime, it does slump. Depending on the breed, if it's not a layer specific breed, some breeds don't lay during the winter. We have some breeds that don't lay during the winter. Our Sumatras do not lay during the winter. They have a very short laying window. Back when we had the Brahmins, the same thing. Brahmins don't lay during the winter. But layer breeds should be laying. Laying should decrease, but not stop completely. So do your research. I've got several friends, to include us, who do not feed Tractor Supply feeds. And we haven't experienced the same thing that the folks who have feed Tractor Supply feeds have experienced. So you got chickens not laying eggs. You got feed that people are suspicious of, wondering if this is causing them not to lay eggs. And now you've got the USDA talking about doing another ban on chickens crossing lines over AI. And I'm bothered by this. I've always been bothered by the AI nonsense anyhow. We don't go into hospitals. I was a combat medic in the Army, in case you didn't know. But we don't go into hospitals and just kill a whole ward of people that have the flu because one person had the flu or because the whole ward has the flu. We give people a fighting chance. People build natural immunities. These things are very common, not only amongst people, but amongst livestock and nature. So first and foremost, and I've seen countless videos of people who have begged them not to kill their flocks because one bird tested positive. One bird out of a massive flock. One bird. And then you see the commercial ones. They go in and they wipe out all those flocks. Meat shortages. Prices go up temporarily. Those farmers didn't get those kickbacks for the prices. Now, if they had flock insurance or something like that, that is covered to an extent. It's not generally 100%. So they lost revenue. But for us to just go in and wipe out, at this point, millions of birds over, I don't know, what was Joel Salatin saying? He thought it was maybe less than 10-15% of the actual birds that were euthanized actually had the AI. No one really knows because they didn't record that, because why would they record that and let us know? They just found one on a farm and they're like, oh, we got to kill them all. It's the only way to deal with this. Kill them all. So now you got the USDA wanting to ban interstate travel of birds. They're heavily weighing this decision. And they're offering classes on defend the flock. And in those classes, they want you to register your flock with them because they want to defend your flock and teach you biosecurity and monitor your flock. I'm the government. I'm here to help. If you believe that, where have you been living all your life? If you don't know yet, I don't trust the government. I don't trust a lot of things in life anymore. But when they say that kind of stuff, it really causes me to pause, you know. Hey, register your animals with us for your benefit. Sort of like register your garden with us for the community's benefit. What? No, I'm not registering crap with you guys. I don't want to. I don't have to. It's still the land of the free, even though every day people are giving up their freedoms by the freaking bucket load. They're like, here, take care of me, government. I don't need these freedoms. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. You might feel like you're living the comfortable, easy street life right now, living off the government and depending on the government. But what are you going to do when the government decides, okay, now we've got enough of you dependent on us, that we're going to start scaling back what we give you? But you have no choice because you're dependent on us. So whether or not you believe in the conspiracy theories or not, if your goal is to be as self-sufficient as possible, you really need to be paying attention right now. You really need to be doing your homework. Things are just, I mean, they're getting more and more blatant day by day. And if you watch, you'll see what's going on. But you've got to pay attention. It's a whole lot of sleight of hand crap going on. You know, they're like, look over here while we stab you in the back over there. And that's what's going on right now. It's craziness. So if you guys are paying attention like I am, and I'll just tell you, since that last election, I stopped watching the news because it's just so much daggone lies and misinformation. I look at other things than just the news. I really try to follow any publications put out by the government. I try to track those down and see what's really going on. I try to read in between the lines, kind of like I'm reading in between the lines with this register your flock nonsense. You know, I've got a friend that has a lot of money tied up in their goats, and that's why all goats have those fancy little ear tags. They're supposed to. And that's because if you send a goat to an auction or anything like that, and that goat ends up sick, guess what they're going to do? They're going to follow that tag back to your farm. Who cares if it got sick at that auction from another animal? That, oh, by the way, if you take an animal to the auction and it doesn't have an ear tag, they'll just put an ear tag on it that day because it's legally required to have an ear tag before they can sell it. So, who cares if your goat got sick at that auction from another animal at that auction? They're going to track it back to your farm, and guess what they're going to do? No, they're not going to quarantine or pay vets or any of that. They're going to freaking cull your herd. That's what they're going to do. And my friend is like always scared of that because she's very, very strict about following the rules. She doesn't want to get in trouble, and I can understand and I can appreciate that. But when you have a herd as expensive as hers because she's into showing goats and whatnot, that gets scary. If you take your goats out somewhere public and they show, you could get something. There's so many different variables to biosecurity that are out of our control, and they're even out of the government's control. They weren't even able to close down the pandemic. Y'all remember that thing? Yeah, it wasn't very long ago. And it's all we heard about on the news to scare the living crap out of us and to make us subservient to them. That's what that was about. Miraculously, we don't hear about it anymore, though. It was all we heard about 24/7 for a while. And so here's another kind of double standard and hypocrisy of our government. I don't care which political side you're on. I'm not on either side, to be honest with you. I'm kind of more just me. I'm independent. But if you remember in the last administration, the president, when the pandemic hit, said we're going to stop travel from countries that have high amounts of the pandemic, the vid. And what did people call him? What did they say? That's not fair. That's not right. You're xenophobic, racist, blah, blah, blah. You're scared. And now you're painting people from a certain ethnicity as bad. He just said we're not going to have people coming in from high vid countries right now. We're going to stop travel till we can get this under control. And that was bad then, but guess what they're doing now? They're going to stop birds traveling from one state over. Not even other countries, one state over. So if you're like me and you live on a border, I can get to the other state in 30 minutes. I can't go 30 minutes and grab a bird, though, if they get this to pass through. And they did this last time we had AI. And it was just like, that's not effective because it's passed by wild birds. Are you going to stop the wild birds from migrating? So that's where I really start thinking on this. Are they doing this to protect our flocks? Or are they doing this to make it harder to be self-sufficient? What do you think? I want you to really look at the legislation that gets passed. I want you to think, is this really for my protection? Or is this to make it harder for me to be able to provide for my family without the government. And that's sad. That's sad because guess what the pandemic did do? The pandemic opened up so many people to the idea of being more self-sufficient, starting gardens, growing some chickens for some eggs and meat, all kinds of things that people hadn't done in generations on a large scale. And there's been a surge of homesteaders because of the pandemic, because it woke a few people up, and those people were like, crap, what am I going to do if the supply chain fails? What am I going to do? So now that there's so many people raising chickens in their backyard, there's so many people raising rabbits and all these different animals, the government's coming along and saying, oh, we're going to protect you and we're going to make it really hard for you to get those chickens because we want to protect you. We don't want AI to spread. What? So when the president was like, hey, I don't want people from highly infectious countries coming here during the pandemic, he was a bad guy. But under this new administration, USDA is like, hey, we don't want those birds coming from the next door neighboring state because they might spread something. And they're the good guy. Do you see it? Do you see what's going on here? It's just craziness, y'all. It's like every time you turn around, there's something on the news to scare you, or there's something they're doing to make this lifestyle harder. I've talked on it before about different ordinances in different towns telling people they can't grow a front yard garden. It's my freaking yard. I pay taxes. Who do you think pays the taxes that supports your government job? Me. Duh. And you're going to tell me I can't grow food in my front yard, or I can't have a few chickens in my backyard. What the heck, man? Or I can't collect rainwater. But they're here to help you. They're here for you guys. I don't know. Now, like I said, I know some of y'all probably think I got my tinfoil hat on, but I don't think so. I think folks need to really start waking up, and you need to start learning necessary skills that are going to help you and your family and be less dependent on the government. The government couldn't govern its way out of a wet paper sack. I would trust the daggum local Chick-fil-A to run my community better than the government could. It's just, I mean, good gravy, y'all. It's silly. It's silly the people that we have in these positions of power that are just full on dumb. Or they're not dumb, but they're so damn evil and corrupt that they don't mind screwing you and me and every other taxpayer out there. Which one is it? I'd like to think that they're dumb, but at the end of the day, they're probably not dumb. They're probably just evil, power-hungry people that don't want you to live the free life we are supposed to be able to live in this country. That's my thought on it. Now, we've got the chicken situation. We've got the chicken feed situation. In addition to all that, we now have East Palestine, Ohio. A lot of people are freaking out because we live in southern Indiana and the Ohio River comes through, our border. Well, like I explained to people, most of us are on local reservoir lakes in southern Indiana and in the Midwest. And if we're not, our rivers and streams feed the Ohio, not vice versa. So that pollution would have to go against the flow of gravity to come up into our waterways. But just in case you didn't know, our waterways are very highly polluted and have been highly polluted since at least the late 60s and 70s when industries were just dumping PCBs in the waterway. If you're unfamiliar with it, DHEC in most states has a fish consumption advisory. Now, how accurate it is, I don't know. But you're not supposed to eat anything out of the Ohio because it's so polluted. And that was prior to the train derailment. Did they handle the train derailment right? Probably not. When is it ever a good idea to just burn stuff and send freaking plumes of chemicals into the sky? Hello? Gulf War Registry, burn pits, all the presumptive conditions that are coming from the burn pits that we had in the military. Come on, guys. It makes you wonder, do they got your back, or is there some sort of ulterior motive? What is really going on? And at the end of the day, I think the ulterior motive is always going to be money and power. That's it. Money and power. They don't care about you. They don't care about me. They care about power. And that's all they're ever going to care about until we take the power back. But we can't get organized enough to ever do that, so they're not worried about it. And honestly, they shouldn't be. So all you and I can do is focus on our little bitty bubble and try to be as productive and self-sufficient as we can in our little bitty bubble. So with everyone freaking out about the contaminated water and whatnot, well, what are you doing about it? Are you just upset and bickering online, or spreading memes online or graphs online that say you're in the watershed of the polluted water? Or are you working on getting some sort of water filtration system ready for your home? Or do you already have one? Have you gotten supplies, backup supplies, for when those filters need to be replaced? These are all things that we can do. We can do on our level. If you have a family, it's your job to take care of them and protect them. It's not the government's job. So do that. If you haven't already, freaking start researching and get yourself some water filtration setups for your home. Find some alternative waters in case your water supply gets turned off. Here in southern Indiana, it's not uncommon at all for us to be under a boil water advisory because our local water treatment plant, it's state of the art, millions of dollars. They don't have anybody smart enough to work it. I mean, go figure, right? So these guys are always messing up and having to pour more chemicals in or flush the water. It's just a nonstop crap show is what it is. I was on top of getting water filtration for our home a long time ago. And all of you should have been. But if you haven't been, make this a wake-up call for you. Because it's not going to stop. Things are not going to get easier. And the world is turning faster, it seems. And it's just the way things are going to continue to go for at least the next few years. Food shortages are coming down the pipeline. We are already projecting lower amounts of grain to be harvested this year and next year. In addition to that, cattle producers had to dial back their cattle production and cut the excess last year. So what's going to happen there? Guess what? It takes a long time to grow out a cow to be old enough to breed, and then it has to carry a baby for 9 months. So that's not going to be a fast thing to replace. Hold on, I got a cat being annoying. There you go. So the cat was up in my room and he was whining and throwing a fit, but we're back. So when you think about your food supplies, what are you doing? Please don't do that damn prepper pantry challenge. Don't do that crap at all. Don't show people your supplies. That's just dumb. Don't do it. But use your thinking caps and understand that, guess what, y'all? Water is getting harder to have clean water. Food is more expensive now than it's been in a very long time. I'm talking decades. Meat production is going to be down a lot. They're killing birds over AI. All the birds, just kill them. Just kill them. That's the only way to treat it, is just kill them. Don't let them have natural immunities. Don't study the ones that made it through the flu and see what we can do from those guys. And guess what? I'm not an anti-vaxxer. I'm an anti-experimental vaccine kind of guy. I would not be afraid to take a vaccine that we've had 50, 60, 70 years of studying on. Not at all. I would do my research on the vaccine prior to taking it, but I wouldn't be afraid to take it. Something that just came out, something that we don't know the long-term side effects, scares the crap out of me. But we had an opportunity with these AI outbreaks in these poultry industries, and this is not the first one, and it's not going to be the last one, and we've had this several times. When I first moved to Indiana in 2016, they were asking us to register chicks at the Tractor Supply if we got them from the Tractor Supply. Let them know where we live, because they had just had a massive AI outbreak. That's their protocol. We want to register it, we want to track it, so that we can contact you in case that there's some kind of issue with the hatchery, and then we'll just come kill all the birds that have been exposed to those chicks. So all of these things are making a recipe for a massive disaster, a massive food shortage. And these are things you need to be thinking about. Grain production is going to be down. So guess what? Livestock feed is going to be up. Cattle industry is down. Again, beef is going to be up. all of these things. There's going to be more issues with the supply chain as well. The government's push for the EVs. I won't get started on the EVs. I'll just say this. I've got some friends that work for EV manufacturing facilities. And let me just tell you, the EVs scare the crap out of them. And these people are actual engineers for these facilities. Would you be surprised to know that they've got buses out here running around with your children in it with 2 tons of batteries under the bus? And they've done no test on what happens if that bus crashes. Do those batteries explode? Do they catch fire with your children on there? But they're pushing these EVs like they're the Green New Deal. Look into what goes into making the batteries in those things. What happens when those batteries are no longer any good, and also how much it costs to replace those batteries. Oh, and by the way, if they're not charging because the power grid is down, you're screwed. We saw that this winter. People froze to death in their EVs. Their battery went dead. They were sitting too long in a blizzard. I made a short on that about winter traveling safety tips. Use your brain, guys and gals. If you know you're going to be going out in inclement weather, be smart. You should always be prepared anyhow before you go out, but especially if you know you're going to be traveling under inclement weather conditions. But the government's here for you. They're here for you. What's up? You done whining? You done whining? Well, thank you. Thank you. You interrupted the video briefly and did it again, by the way. I know it seems like a bunch of ranting and a bunch of rambling, but it's because I care. I'm not trying to scare anybody at all. I just want y'all to do your research, do your homework, and open your eyes. Learn to read in between the lines. Things aren't getting any better for the foreseeable future. So we all need to be better prepared. And if you can't get chicks, which my wife absolutely loves the layer breed, the California whites. They lay their butts off. They're a medium-sized chicken, but they lay a giant white egg. She went to order some, and guess what? The soonest she could get any to come in was June or July. I can't remember which month it was, and she put this order in months ago. But guess what? We're kind of concerned because now the USDA is talking about banning travel of chicks across state lines. We don't have a hatchery in Indiana that we know of, so our chick order may get canceled. We don't know where things will be by summer. So be proactive. We traded some friends for some barnyard mix eggs and hatched some chicks. Get to know your neighbor. Get to know the local chicken person. Say, hey man, I want to get some chicks in my life. I don't have an incubator. Can I just get chicks from you? Or I've got an incubator. Can I get some eggs from you? Because I want to be able to make sure my family has chickens if they ban chicken travel and all those things. And I don't want my daggum chickens to be registered with the government. So I don't want to go to the big box store and buy them because I don't want to put my name or my flock on a registry. I don't want to take the USDA class on defending my flock because I don't want to register my flock with the USDA. There are plenty of people like myself that have put out biosecurity videos that you can watch and learn just as much as the USDA is going to tell you without registering your flock. All you got to do is Google biosecurity tips. You don't have to be a part of their program. Y'all, I took up enough of your time, but I really wanted to go ahead and talk on this matter because it's coming very soon. At the end of this month, they are going to make their decision on what they're going to do as far as banning chick sales and poultry shipments and whatnot. And here's the coincidental part. Most hatcheries won't ship chicks until the end of February, beginning of March. Timing is everything. They're talking about banning shipment of poultry. Do your homework. Do your research. Think outside the box. Learn to read between the lines. And if you think I'm crazy, I'm cool with that. I got a big belly. I eat well. So I must not be too crazy. And it ain't from government dimes. Anyhow, y'all. Till next time, keep dreaming.